Okay, today is Thursday, March 19th. It's just almost 8 a.m. I figured I have an hour to kill in the parking lot again of my library, so maybe this is a new routine I'm going to do. I had an idea yesterday, this evolution of a song series. It's kind of developing now. I'm getting more ideas as I go. This is the third installment of Evolution of a Song. And this one's different already because it's not really a song. It started as a poem. I wrote this about a week ago called Zombie. And really it was inspired by a band called Folaxzoid or Folaxzoid. They're from Chile and they're kind of psychedelic rock. And I really just instantly connected with their music. I put on the post, maybe I'll link it again, Folaxzoid, Folackzoid, and their debut album had a song called Sky Input Part 2. So as I was listening to that song, it's just, I believe it's all instrumental, but I forget now. But the music was so engaging and it transported me to a really weird place. I was listening in the library about a week ago on March 5th, so longer than that. This month has kind of flew by. It's kind of weird. I always said March is like a useless month, and it's kind of proving that. Um, so, yeah, this month absolutely just flew by. I've been fasting more and more and just trying to do some things as I wait to get a job on the West Coast. That's really what I'm waiting for. But really, the only thing on my head right now, on my mind, is to learn Spanish, which is what I'm going to do today, because I didn't do anything the last 2 days. And really, that's all. I've applied to some other jobs and I'm just waiting to get a job so I can move out west. And I didn't know I was writing a new album called The Humble Trip, but I guess I am now because I already said it in a previous post. The song West Coast Time, which came out of nowhere last month, and the song Lost and Found. Those are two songs I'm going to put on that album, along with this one called Zombie. And I think it's kind of critical to talk about that because I wasn't intending to write an album. I said I was just putting songs in an email folder, like anything new I would just put in this folder, and I just figured, well, you might as well make an album out of it. And right now I see it like a kind of a refugee, and he's trying to find a new life. So he gets in his car and just drives across the country, and the concept will be him finding songs on the radio that kind of keeps him going in a positive direction, because that's important. Music really does provide that. I'm sure everyone has a story like that where they flip on the radio and some song just instantly meets their mood or changes their mood or connects with them on a really deep level. It's happened to me with that Emma Hoy nun from Ethiopia. It happened with me with like Tame Impala one time, and one time Jackson Browne. I heard The Pretender on the radio, and I was like, "What is this song? This is amazing." Sometimes songs just connect to you, and yeah, I'll shit on the radio a lot, but I also said in another talk that I grew up on the radio. That's all we had in the 90s. There was no streaming or anything really. And before I could get CDs or cassettes, it was Casey Kasem's Top 40. And that was about it. Trying to call in. I remember that, having little boom boxes, and we would try to call in and make requests on like Eagle 106 or Q102, one of those stations. I think it was Eagle 106. That was like the more rock alternative station. Yeah, it's weird to think back to that because I don't know if anyone really feels the same way about the radio anymore. Seriously, that was like the most exciting thing would be to try to win tickets or call the radio station and try to request a song or something like that if they were having a contest. Like those were like the most exciting days as even before I was a teenager, I guess really early 90s because there wasn't anything else. You got home from school, watch some cartoons and listen to the radio. And yeah, I guess I got a Walkman. I remember getting my first Walkman. I was probably in second grade. It's probably for my first communion. And that was awesome because I think it had a radio too. And I just listened to another podcast about that, about Radio Shack, like just stuff like that that gives you that nostalgia for old time electronics. And I don't think Radio Shack definitely doesn't exist anymore. Just like all those other stores, they just became obsolete. Anyway, let me get to this. I wanted to get a little bit out of where my head is right now. So, this song is called Zombie. It started as just a simple poem that I wrote after listening to the Phylaxoid song and that entire album a couple times while I was in the library. And I just had all these thoughts pop in my head. And there's been a lot of artists that have used the zombie motif, whether in music or movies. It's a very popular way to show some political metaphor or social metaphor. People just falling in line and being mindless, drones. And yeah, I've been that. Everyone's been that for either out of fear or out of desperation. There's a lot of reasons people become zombies. I don't know. I don't know exactly what this song's about. I don't think it's about any political thing, really. Maybe as I read through this today and sing through it today, it'll make more sense. But, there's the Fela Kuti, there's the Cranberries, of course. Those might be the two most popular songs about zombies. I think I made a list once, or I vaguely remember looking up songs about zombies a long time ago. Or maybe just about the supernatural. And yeah, I remember the Cranberries the most when I was a kid. That video and just like, just the dark quality of that song. It's really emotive. Even when I hear it today, Zombie by the Cranberries. So maybe it was inevitable that I would try to write a song called Zombie at some point in my life. Yeah, there's the Hooters song too. All You Zombies. I really like that song. That was still I like the Hooters. I think they have some cool stuff. Good songwriters. I think one of the guys wrote that Joan Osborne song, What If God Was One of Us? Bazillion, I think his name is. I don't know, he used to be a guest on like 88.5 XPN sometimes, because I think the Hooters have a local connection to Philly or somewhere around here. And yeah, I remember him talking about that. He's a really good songwriter. But this song, I don't really see it as I'm not trying to copy any kind of political statement or make a political statement of my own. I don't think it has a political connotation to the lyrics. Maybe underneath it all, because usually any song you could find politics if you want to. I think it's just about just feelings I was having, because I wrote it pretty quickly. Yeah, I was just like, brain, write a song about zombies, or write a poem about zombies, and my brain just led me like I was a zombie to my muse, my songwriting muse. Maybe I'm the zombie. Like I'm just so addicted to songwriting and doing my art thing, like I'm a zombie. But I don't think that makes me mindless or anything. This is what keeps me active mentally and physically. There's a physical nature to exploring emotional stuff or psychological stuff within you. I said many times, these are like my therapy sessions as well as sharing my poetry and art. So it has a dual purpose like that. Now, how do I see this song get to the actual point of this? How do I see this poem becoming a song, evolving into a song? I'll link to Fela Kuti because that's probably where I'm going with this. I wanted to have just a percussive feel like that. That zombie song, I guess they call it like Afro funk or Afro something. I forget what it's called. The Fela Kuti, and he's got, I think one of his sons has an album. He makes music too now. But I think he's a complicated figure, but he wrote some cool music. I think he's like a punk rock dude. Like, he gets crazy political. He has some crazy political album covers, and even the zombie album cover is pretty badass. And it's just like, he's speaking of brother killing brother and all the mindless violence that happens. I forget what country he's from in Africa. But I've spoken about him before because during 2020 COVID times, when like shit was going crazy everywhere, I would jog at work, and I have to start doing that again. I would jog around the parking lot because it was just a good way to get rid of anxiety and stuff. And for a good while, I would listen to Zombie on repeat, just that one song, because I guess I never really heard Fela Kuti before that. So it was pretty interesting. And it's a long song, so it would take me maybe 20 minutes, I guess. I'm just jogging around the parking lot. And so it's nothing but good memories about Zombie, the Fela Kuti, and listening to the rest of that album. It's a very interesting album. I forget what they call it, just Afrobeat? Is it just called Afrobeat? Like the Talking Heads tried to go down that avenue with Remain in Light. It's just different percussive stuff. What do they call it? Like polyrhythms and stuff like that, which I talked about before. Just different rhythms merging as one or blending together to make really funky stuff. Like, I just picture that, like those tribal beats, and when people dance, like that's like real dancing, like they're dancing away demons or something. And that's very interesting to me. I think it's a part of the whole shamanism appeal, where you see these tribal people just dancing away their frustrations or just bad emotions, negative emotions. They just dance it away. Like they're just shaking away the demons. And I don't know from personal experience, but maybe I should try doing that stuff as a form of therapy. Just dance like a freak, and just dance until I sweat it all out. Cause I need to start doing that again. Anyway, that's kind of, I'm mentioning Fela Kuti because his style of music and that type of Afro beat or whatever it's called, there's a jazz quality to it too. It is kind of improv sometimes. Or that Horace Tapscott, I've talked about him a couple times. There is a jazz quality too. It gets kind of spiritual. So I'm mentioning that because that's where I want this song to go. I want it to just be led by percussion, like African drums. And I said if I go to record any of my songs, I'm not going to have a drum set. I'm just going to have improvised drumming from lap drums and African drums and other stuff like that, because I just think that's cooler to incorporate a different kind of drumming. So I'm going to have to really study that type of percussion because I don't have experience with that. but I do enjoy it. It gives you a different just feeling in your gut. Like I respect, people say the guy from Rush, I forget his name, Neil Peart, maybe. Recently, I listened to The Who, and people always say one of the best drummers ever. What was his name? Keith Moon? Is that his name? I'm bad with names, especially drummers, because I don't have the drummer's brain. I don't know how drums work. I just don't know. I've never tried to, but I do enjoy it. So I respect all kinds of drumming. This song is basically evolving, or this poem, because it wasn't a song, it was just a poem, but usually I would just go, all right, just make it into a spoken word rap song, but this one is forming differently, and it's based on that Afro beat type of atmosphere that Fela Kuti inspired in me. And I don't know his whole catalog. I really just know the Zombie album. Maybe there's another one that I listened to because the album cover caught my eye, but I don't even remember at this point. But I did listen to one of his sons. I want to say his name is Fema, maybe? I don't remember. But it was pretty interesting. It had some really bright, sunshiny songs on it. It was pretty cool. But there's also that colonial element so there is politics within anything like this, and maybe that's where he was going with the Zombie, his own country going through some political shit. I'm not sure what exactly he was talking about, but some kind of government corruption, I don't know. So I'm going to try to sing this now to the best of my ability, and you just gonna have to imagine it being a lot of percussive African style stuff, because that's where this song evolved to. Hence, this is why I chose this as another evolution of a song today. So let me just get into it. Zombie stretches for gold. Zombie caresses the mold. Zombie unattached and indifferent. Out on the path of what God meant. Maybe just repetitive moan. A home for unapologetic bones. What might the zombie fear? Comatose chimes are times of awakening. So that's basically the basic melody. That's basically the basic melody. It's a good use of vocabulary on my part. I just want it to flow like that through the whole 7 stanzas of this. And you could maybe pause after every 2 stanzas and just focus on the drumming. And I don't know what other instruments I really hear. Some kind of just tribal instruments. I have an album called Going Tribal, and it was designed to be, well, later, those songs all evolved, because they were probably all punk songs at one point. And I was like, nah, this is going to be Going Tribal. It's going to be just based on tribal music and African drums and stuff like that. So I've been interested in that type of music for a while. I don't listen to it like ever, but when I do hear it, it catches my ear and I just want to dance. And like I just pictured like that Tongan beat, like the hopefully that doesn't sound stupid, but dump a dump a dump bump a dump a dump a dump a dump a dump. It's almost like a marching band at like a college football game. The bump a dump 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 a dump. it just gets your heart beating and the blood flowing. Like, it's really cool. It's powerful type of music because it's probably been practiced for, hundreds and hundreds of years through generations. And there's probably elements of that in American music and any type of music. Everything evolves. Even tribal music probably evolves into hip-hop or merges into a lot of hip-hop stuff. And yeah, that's just very cool to me. So I'll just keep singing these, I guess. Zombie with the window down. Zombie forging thoughts in the cloud. Zombie claims a name to turn logic. Pens a protest song hidden in the mountains. Maybe just addicted to life and death. A brain on loan, lost in light and the conquest. What might the zombie take for granted? Sentimental sigh or hobbled rise? So you could take a little break in between. It's going to be improvised. I'm kind of singing it now how I want it to sound, though. And right now, I listed this as the second song on this album. So it's kind of a cool break and kind of an outlier. So that's the first four. Now, I might just do these last three all together because I don't want to just leave one by itself. So this is the fourth stanza of this poem, this song. Zombie follows a code. Bump-a-dump. Zombie deletes the flow. Zombie blames the waves. Dump-a-dump-a-dump. Neglects the toll to pay. Pennies on hollowed out eyes. Limits on curtain calls and one-night crimes. What might the zombie set to gain? The longing for that historical flame, or a more polished unclaimed shame. Zombie juices the gut of language. Zombie hugs a tree of knowledge. Zombie prays to the blankest dimension. Ensures the nemesis stakes the message. So you get the feeling. I'm going through this just improvised right now. I never tried to do this before. But this is just how I hear it rhythmically. Is that a word? This is how I hear it sung, and I'll just try to sing it as best I can to the spirit of that feeling that I have. So yeah, I don't think there's anything overtly, or is that the right word? I don't think there's anything obviously political that just jumps out like, oh, I know what he's talking about. I don't really know what I'm talking about in a lot of this shit. I really don't. So I don't think there's any kind of political slant to this or anything. It's just about life and feeling like a zombie, where you don't feel like you have the freedom to live your life, I guess. Or it's a cowardly type of feeling where you don't take enough chances in life or risk in life, and you just end up being a zombie. So it's not really about me. It's just about life. Anyone can fall into that trap at any point of their life. Out of fear, like I said, out of fear, desperation, or just unseen events that you can't control, which is life. Life is full of that. You try to control the chaos the best you can, but once you reach a certain level of life, how much control do you really have, or have you ever had? You start to have those thoughts. And that's the spirit of this song that I'm trying to get out now. Hopefully you get an idea, at least, with my horrible singing, of how this would sound with cool drums, and basically that's all. It's just heavy percussion, and I don't know if there would be any other instruments, really. Maybe there needs to be some guitar on it, acoustic guitar. Maybe even a guitar solo. I think that kind of works, now that I think of it, like a very psychedelic type of, that. There was a guitarist, I'm going to say his name wrong, Madhu Mokhtar, Afrique Victim, a couple years ago. I'll link it. I don't think I'm saying his name correctly. And then there's that Tinariwen band, who they do awesome. There's a specific type of, is it Western Africa, of desert heavy guitar music tradition. I don't know a lot about it. I remember Henry Rollins talking about it on one of his podcasts, that he took a trip to some African country in the desert, and they had a big music festival with all that type of African rock music, and it's very addicting once you get into it. I haven't taken the full plunge into that yet. All I know is Tinariwen. I'm probably saying their name wrong, so apologies. But I do like them. I bought a couple of their albums. And the Madhu Mokhtar, I'm saying his name wrong, or if that's the name of the band, sorry. Afrique Victim, and he had another one maybe last year or 2 years ago. And it's just a cool type of electric guitar. So it could work on this song. You could have a lot of percussion, but then just a really cool electric guitar solo towards the end. I have a repeating line on maybe 3 or 4 of the songs so far. And I don't know why. I just had an old recording from maybe a month or 2 ago that said, "Embrace that all clear, all right. Embrace that all clear, all right." It's kind of funky. I donated platelets. I'm trying to do it now twice a month. Donate platelets to the Red Cross. Go do it if you can. It's really not bad. I had the problem the first time, but now it's easy to do it. It takes about 2 hours. So if you're able to, go donate platelets. It'll make you feel good. So I'm trying to do that every 2 weeks. You can do it up to 24 times a year, they said. So I did it back in January, and I had this funky song in my head for like the last hour I was doing it. And it was just the funk's for everybody. The funk's for everybody. Sometimes I get in the funky mode and I just want to write funk stuff. I really do love funk music. So I think this was also, maybe later that day, I had this melody. Embrace that all clear, all right. Ba-doop, boom, 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 boom. Embrace that all clear, all right. So I have this little phrasing, embrace that all clear, all right. I have that little phrasing on maybe the first song and this song, and maybe 1 or 2 other ones. But I want it to sound different each time. It kind of binds the album together. This guy's riding in his car, trying to find a new life, and he's changing the radio. And maybe this line is a line that's like the synchronicity or coincidence that keeps playing, but in different ways. I don't think I'll do it on every song. That might get a little overkill, but I'll probably do it on maybe 3 or 4 songs. This one phrase just stuck with me. I don't know why. But I am using it. I do have like another funk song in the works, because there's maybe 3 or 4 songs I haven't done yet for this album. And that The Funk's for Everybody. That's going to be on this album on a different track. But yeah, sometimes you just get them. Like after donating platelets, I was in my car waiting to go home, and I was like, I just had this melody in my head, so I had to put it on my voice recorder, and now I'm using it. So I could really do evolution of a song for every one of my songs I've ever written, because they do just evolve like that. And I think this is a cool way to do this since I don't have a guitar right now. I can't play anything or try to really compose my songs into a more structured fashion, so this is what I'm doing right now. I'm just doing evolution of a song so I could go back at some point and revisit this, and it will give me that framework right away. Like some people, I was listening to a podcast yesterday. Right now, my music listening is down. I'm just going podcast heavy. And I think it's just called Americana. And His Golden Messenger, I don't know the guy's name. He's from I think he was from California, but he lives in North Carolina. His Golden Messenger, they got pretty popular. And he was saying that, like, you never know when some inspiration will hit. And you just have to document it. Like he was saying that same refrain that a lot of songwriters say. So, yeah, I don't have a guitar right now. I can't practice. I can't put a song like I was doing before on YouTube, my YouTube videos. I would do my anatomy of a song, and I would take one of my songs and write the tablature and play it on the guitar. I can't do that at the moment. So this is what I'm replacing it with until I can get back to that. Anyway, the outro of this song uses that phrase, embrace that all clear, all clear. But I'm going to sing it a little differently. Embrace that all clear, alright. Embrace that all clear, all embrace that all clear, all embrace. So you kind of need to have backup singers, because I'm singing it like, embrace that all clear, alright. But I'm not finishing the alright. I'm going, embrace that all clear, embrace. So you would need the backup singers to sing alright when I go into embrace. And that's how you would end this song. So I think it's a pretty simple song, but I've never written a song like this quite in this fashion that's so heavy. Or I don't want to say I never did. I probably have something like this that's so percussion forward, where the percussion leads the entire song. And I probably have a couple on the Going Tribal album, because that was the whole point of that concept. If you want to revisit it, maybe, or for myself, I'm talking to myself right now, but if you want to check it out, I'll link it. The Going Tribal album. All my albums are on Substack. If you go to my first maybe 70 posts, they were just all my albums. And then I did my screenplays after that. So they're all there in terms of the lyrics. When I wrote my book, if you're a new person, you don't know who I am, I wrote a book about 2 years ago. It took me about two and a half years. It's an anthology of all of my songs, which is on Amazon. It's about 1,000 pages, but don't get intimidated, because a lot of it is just lyrics. If you enjoy lyrics and poetry, and you probably get through it pretty quickly. But the reason I wrote that book because you could read all my stuff for free on my Substack, but in the book I wrote prefaces and explaining my musical journey in life. And each album I wrote a preface of about 2-3 pages explaining the album or explaining something I just wanted to talk about. Some of them are serious, some of them deal with like my mental breakdown in 2020, because I was writing like crazy 2020, 2021. I got kind of manic with stuff. So that's in there, but there's some funny stuff as well. I try to keep it light for the most part. But I'm the type of artist that I have to put it all out on the table, and whether you like me or not, it's just going to come out. Everything that I'm feeling, my influences, everything's going to be out, so nobody could try to make stuff up about me. And nobody could try to misinterpret my stuff. Like, I'm fine if people want to interpret my lyrics in their own way, but I don't like it when people use that excuse to try to speak for another artist. I think that's cowardly and foolish, because it just doesn't stick. So that's basically why I wrote my book, though, because I had all this poetry and all these lyrics, and I was like, I should put it all together in a book. Eventually, that was my idea, because at first I wrote 50-some individual songbooks. I was like, I gotta sell them all for 99 cents. I was like, nah, it's not a great idea. So I just took 2 years and I wrote this book. I made album covers for all of my albums, because there's about 54 in the book, I believe. And that's just how it evolved. It took me, everything all together, it probably took about 3 years. So I haven't really sold any copies, but that's my most proud accomplishment, that I actually didn't give up on it, because there were some moments where I did want to give up. It was getting very painful to write stuff and edit stuff, because the editing process is probably worse than the writing process. But I'm going off topic. I just wanted to mention that again. And because you can go back and look at my Going Tribal album, and you can see what I'm talking about, because I'm trying to do that on all the songs on that album, to implement the percussion that I'm trying to do on this song. And I'll link a lot of stuff. I'll go back and listen to this. Hopefully I don't have to edit anything. But really, the only things I'm going to be doing, excuse me, in terms of my Substack over the next few weeks, I do have a March essay I'm trying to do, which is 10 popular songs that I believe should be made into religious gospel hymns, like with gospel choirs. And there's a humor to that as well. So I'm working on that, and I'm working on another post, 20 Places of Zen, this, to give thanks to podcasts and other stuff, TV shows that provide me a place of Zen when I need that. So I wanted to do that. It's in my drafts, but I haven't finished it yet. And I got a couple other ideas. Finish this album. Hopefully, what's today? I don't think I'd finish by March, but maybe by next month I'll get all, the Humboldt trip will be completed. But sometimes I say that and I do it all in one day. It just hits me like I got to do this all. I'm a manic artist sometimes. Sometimes I can't focus on anything else until I'm done with the current project. It's good and bad. Like, I'm very high productivity. Efficiency and productivity are not something I struggle with. In terms of my business right now, my publishing business, my Substack business, my problem is marketing, getting people interested in my stuff and just getting it available to people. Sometimes I don't feel like I even have the opportunity to do these things. But I've spoken for long enough. It's almost an hour, I think. Yeah, 40 minutes. Excuse me. Anyway, that's everything. Hopefully you enjoy this song. you get an idea of the influence and inspiration that I'm trying to implement. I'll link to Fela Kuti, the Cranberries, maybe some other ones that deal with zombies. Maybe I'll just make a top 10 zombie album or playlist, sorry. But I think I did that already, so maybe not. And I'll link my old album, Going Tribal, and basically, maybe I'll do the Fela Kuti deep dive. That's what I'll do. Because it is the Afro beat type of appeal to this, I want to give thanks to that. So the only artist I know is Fela Kuti, really. So I'll go back and I'll try to devour all his stuff and make a top 10 Fela Kuti songs. That might take a while, though. I don't know how many albums he has as a solo artist or with other people. I have a feeling he's got a lot, so that might take a while. But so no promises. I don't know if I'll have the patience to do another discography right now. I just did the Kathleen Edwards over the last week, and I don't know, I kind of have ADD with that. I did Magma last month. That was kind of hard to get through. I love Magma, but you listen to 15 Magma albums, and it kind of gets a little crazy in your head, insane in the membrane. But I love Magma. I said I'd probably put Magma in my top 10 bands of all time, but even like Sublime might be in my top 5 bands. I can't listen to Sublime all day. There's nobody, Bad Religion, NoFX, Gillian Welch, I love her. I can't listen to anyone all day. I need to change it up, so it gets a little difficult. But I'll try to. If Fela Kuti, if I could get through his stuff, and his type of music might be easier because it's maybe less lyrics and more just of a feel and a jam. There's like 20-minute songs and stuff. Maybe it'll be a little easier to feel the groove and find out what I like. So I'll try to do that at some point at least. If I don't do it this week, I'll do a Fela Kuti ranking to pay thanks to his influence on my life. And I said all I've really heard was the Zombie album. I never really took the deep dive, so I might have to do that now. But that's everything. Hopefully you got a taste of where I'm going with this song, Zombie. And yeah, I want it all out there on the table. Am I plagiarizing or copying Fela Kuti because I'm doing this? I don't think so. I think it's different enough. And I'll try to implement my own style and groove to it. I'm not trying to copy him, because that's the last thing I would ever want to do or be accused of. But it's a definite influence, and I'm open about that. I don't think he was the reason I wrote the poem. I just had this idea, but when I wanted to make this poem into a song and evolve it into an Afrobeat type of feel, of course I'm thinking of Fela Kuti. How could I not? And that's all. I guess I'll leave it there and see where this song will continue to evolve as I go. It's just how it is with my songwriting. And I think most people probably work like that. Like, I don't have anyone else giving me input or editing me. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I've never tried to write with other people or co-write a song or write lyrics with another person. I've been solo completely 100% on every one of my songs, but it's kind of cheesy, but I feel like a lot of these artists like Fela Kuti, Jim Morrison, Joni Mitchell, Tom Petty, dead or alive, I feel like these artists are with me as I'm writing stuff, because that's where my brain evolved. That's how my brain became a songwriting brain, just devouring Tom Petty stuff and Patty Griffin and Gillian Welch, Dave Rawlings, NoFX, Bad Religion, Sublime, even jazz stuff. And the Magma stuff, like, I don't know where that came from. I don't even know how to define that music. It's like opera jazz. I know they call it something else because he invented his own language and shit. But the point is, yeah, I feel like even though I do my art by myself and I'm isolated, introverted person, um, I feel like because I've been able to explore all these different artistic movements or just artistic individuals of the past and the present, of course, I, I can't work from a blank slate. I'm going to be influenced by other people. I'm going to learn other people's songs and learn new chords because I learned a Phoebe Bridgers song and she tunes her guitar weird. Or I learned I don't know, I'm going blank because I haven't played guitar in like 6 months. But I don't know what's a big influence on me. Well, even Joni Mitchell, I was like, I wanted to learn Coyote. I tuned my guitar years ago to the Coyote tuning, and that led me to maybe 3 or 4 songs because the guitar sounded so weird. So she's got one of the craziest stories, and I think, yeah, I did put her on my list of my favorite guitar players because she plays such an interesting style that nobody else plays. And yeah, her tuning had directly led me to write songs just because it sounded so weird and it sounds so good. But that's it. I'm speaking in circles, so I'm just gonna end it here.